Hi guys, welcome to part 6 of this React series. So in this video, I'll be showing you a more, let me say, proper way, right, to that you'd want to structure your components or your, let me say, app logic, right, using React hooks. So in the last video, we did a cleanup for our app state to be a global and shared state among our components. So now we want to have a cleanup on our logics because we don't want our app logic to live individually inside all of our components. So we want to maybe probably we want to reuse them in some other parts of our application. So one of the common ways to do that is using something called hooks, right? Which we've used a couple of them here in our project as well, the likes of the use state hook, right? And the next one I want to show you is how to build your own custom hook, right? So that's what we are going to be doing in this video. We're going to be building a custom hook to store our create, update, and delete logic. Although we don't have a create feature right now, so we'll add a method to create to-dos in our app right now. All right then, so let's get into it. The first thing I want to actually do is I want to remove the descriptions in the to-do. To be honest, don't I don't think we need it, and it's distracting basically. So I want to come to do item, remove description, TypeScript. It's going to scream. We should be fine. Yeah. I mean, you guys can style this with CSS in your spare time, but for me, I'm going to leave this as it is. So you guys can style this on your spare time as well. So the next thing I want to do is I would go to the context file. That's or rather the provider. Yeah. So I need to take out the descriptions in here. So take them out, take them out. Awesome. So the next thing we want to do in here is we want to create a new file for our hook, right? So commonly when you have hooks in your projects, you want to store them in a folder specifically. So in this case, I'm going to create a folder called hooks. Then the name of my file would be, let me say use to do, right? Use to do.ts file. So to create a custom hook, right, you need to define a function that starts with the keyword of use. So that is how React recognize hooks, right? So any function that starts with the name use or with the prefix use, like in lowercase, is going to be classified as a hook in React. So to create one, we would export this as a function, then we will do use, then in our case, we want to call it to do. So this is going to contain our create logic, update logic, and delete logic as well. So, and it's also going to actually return the to do items we have. It's going to do a lot of cool things for us as well. So if you check our components here in the to do item and the to-do list, in the to-do item component and the to-do list, you would see we have two things that are like repeated. For instance, we have this context check, like we are fetching the context and it's actually being repeated, right? So that's one of the things you can use your hooks for as well. You can use your hooks to avoid repetition. So what I want to do in this case is I want to copy this one from my to-do item, bring it over to my use to do component, and import everything I need to import. So I'm going to say add, supposed to do add all missing imports for me, but okay. Awesome. So now we have everything we need imported. The next thing I want to do is, or the first thing I want to do is I want to return the to do, I want to say items, right? Then do states dot items. This is the first thing I want to do. And the second thing I want to do is copy things over. So I want to copy the delete and updates function from here, right? And I'm going to actually clear this out. We'll come back to this in a bit. So I'm going to come here and do a paste, right? Then I just need to do updates item, then delete item. This is fine. This is going to work. So next thing I just need to do here is I just need to do const, then say update item, delete item from my used to do hook, and everything should work fine from what you can see here, right? So if I refresh, I still have everything working as it is. I can check things, delete, and it works the same way, right? And look at this. This is something simpler. This is elegant, right? So you can have something like this also. So you can have your update function, delete function living inside the specific hook. And if we come to our to-do list as well, we can do something similar. We would say items in this case, then use to do like this. So instead of doing states.items, we just do items and everything works fine. Boom. So yeah, you can see this is actually a cleaner way to do your app logic, and let me not say data fetching, that's a different logic, and that's a different topic rather. So yeah, this is how you can implement your hooks. So you can do, what else do we want to do? What else do we want to do? Yeah, that's actually about it when you're using custom hooks, right? So you see how clean and nice everything we have is. So if we need to change the pattern we are using to update our components, our items, or our delete items or whatever, we can come here and edit it without going anywhere, which is nice, right? Then what else am I going to show you guys? So you can also add a delete method, or sorry, a create method rather. So let's do that now. So we can do const create item, right? Then it will just receive a title. In this case, that's the only thing we want to receive. So it's just going to receive a title. Then we are going to do set states, right? We want to do items, and we want to do state, sorry, we want to do a spread operator here and say states like this dot items. All right, then the next thing we want to do is we want to add an ID, right, which is going to be states dot items dot length plus one. So the length of our items plus one is going to be the ID of the new object we are coming and we are adding, right? The next thing we want to add here is the title, right? Lastly, we want to add the completed states. So by default, when you're adding a new task, then I believe it wants to be an uncompleted task. So we are going to do this in here, and we are going to return our create state as well, create item rather. So we have create item, update, and we have delete item. Awesome. But now the next thing we want to do is our create components. We don't have a component to create to do items yet. So what we want to do is go to actually we want to go to our components folder. Then we want to have a new component called to do create.tsx. Awesome. So we want to create a new function here called to do create, or you can say create to do, I mean whichever one works for you guys. So what I want to do in here, so I'm going to close the to do item, to do list, and app tsx, and use to do as well. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to just do a very, very simple design of my components. So I'm going to be using a form component, right? So I'm going to create a form here. I'm going to use an input field. Then I'm going to add a button as well. So I can just use this, let me just call this button save, something like this. Okay, then what else do I want to do? Yeah, I just want to, let me render my components in the to-do list. So we want to make the to-do list appear at the top here, right? So we can come here and do to do create. Yes, so from what we can see, we have the components showing up in here already to do create. So for now, if we hit save, nothing really happens aside that the page get refreshed. We are going to counter that behavior in a second as well. So if we go to our to do create, right, we want to add a style for our to do create form, which is going to take a class name of to do create. So now we have to open our CSS file. To do that, where is our CSS file? Yeah. So we have our CSS file here. We have to do item, to do list, to do blah blah blah. Then when we want to add our to do create, right? So it's going to be a form, right? We are going to keep the width to be 100, which, let me see. Okay, the width I think is actually 100 already. So well, what I want to style here, I would start with the inputs. So I will start with this input in the to do create. So I want to give it a width of 100 as well. Okay, yeah, I want to give it a width of 100. And the button, well, the button, I think I would put it to fit with or whatever fits. Well, let's make the button and the inputs be on the same line first. So to do that, we would do display flex, then items. I think it should be align items center or something. Okay, then we want to add a gap as well. We want to add a gap of about 4 pixel. I think that's what we've been using mostly. Yeah. Okay, let's do 8. Yeah, we've been using 8 so mostly. I like to keep things consistent like that. And for the inputs, right? So for the inputs and also the um the save button, right? So I want to do something like I want to add a padding of 8 pixel for them as well. Yes, I want to add a padding of 8 for them. Awesome. So what next? What else do I want to fix? Yeah, I think that's about it. So if I type things here, it should still show up as normal. Right, awesome. Yeah, I think this works for me. Okay, so we're done with the CSS file. Now to our to do create function. So what we want to do now is we want to create a state, but this is going to be a local state to our to do create component. We want to create a state to receive the to do title in here. So we are going to create a constant of say title, then set title. It's going to be a use state with a string by default. And the next thing we want to do here is the string value should be attributed to our title. Like the value of the string of this title should be attributed to our input component, right? So, but if you check here, if you type things, nothing come up, right? That means we set the fixed title for our inputs tag, but the next thing we want to do here is we want to actually set our state to whatever we are typing, right? So to do that, you use the onChange event, just like we had the onClick event previously. Okay, I think it was the onChange event we used for the checkbox as well. So that's what we are going to use similarly here. So but for this, we need to pass in, we need to get the event value, right? Then we say set title to e.target, then you say value. This will give you the actual value of whatever the user is typing. So from here, if we type things, you can see our values are coming in, right? The next thing we want to do is we want to create our what do they call it? We want to create our to do. So now we bring in our to do create item function, so which is going to be create item from the use to do the use to do hook, right? So what I want to do in here, right? I want to use and the on submit event, right? In this case, so this is also another event you can use in React, right? So the on submit event is the event that is fired whenever you click the submit button or you just hit enter on your keyboard while you are actively on the form. So if you come here as well, we want to receive the event type. We want to receive the event here with the arrow function. We want to do a specific thing first. So from what you can see here, right, if we click this save button, you see the entire page refreshes, like a refresh, but we don't want to do that, right? We want to come here and say e dot prevent defaults, right? It's as simple as that. So what that would basically do is it's going to prevent the default behavior of the form. The default behavior of the form is to send a post request. I think it's actually a get request, right? It's send a get request with query parameter like to the server, but that's not what we want to do here. So if you click save now, you should see nothing is being refreshed. So now we want to do the actual create method, right? So in here we can just do create item, and it takes in just the title which we already have. We can pass that, save this. We should come here and say upload to YT. If I hit enter, you should see my state comes here automatically, right? You can see this is automatically shown in here, right? And it would work just like the other ones I have as well. I can click it to done, not done, wherever I want, it's going to work. But if you observe, I didn't use the save button earlier, right? I just used the enter key and it worked as I expected. So maybe the other thing you want to add is maybe when you're done creating your to-do item, you want to set your title back to something empty, like something like that, right? So I'm going to refresh this, and we see we have the previous initial to-dos there. So what I want to add here now is let's add a random to-do here as well. Let me see, subscribe to code with structure. By the way, you guys should actually subscribe here. If you're in this course this far, you guys should subscribe. So from what you can see here, I can either hit the enter button. I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to use the save button. It's still going to work as expected. So if I click save, you can see here. So once you're subscribed, you can come here and check this button, and I can know that you're subscribed as well. But for now, I'll leave this unchecked for you guys since you're not subscribed. Okay, and I think that's actually all in our to-do application, right? So yeah, this was actually fun for me. I hope it was fun for you guys, and I hope you got something out of this as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in my next series.